Welcome back yet again to the Hawk's Nest. I'm your host, The Hawk. Hear me out. Do we put a little hawk screech in there after I say that? Or is that corny? I don't know. I'm back and forth on it. But just imagine. This is the intro. Welcome back to the Hawk's Nest. I'm your host, The Hawk. And then it goes, ah, or like, caw, something like that. But like an actual hawk, obviously, not me doing it. I don't know. Kind of corny. Let me know down in the comment section. We are back again, and today we are answering fan questions. A lot of you guys submitted some questions in the comment section on the last video, which is what I asked for. Thank you so much. If you watched the video, if you liked, if you commented, if you did anything involving it, I appreciate that, okay? I really appreciate that, and I love you guys all. I got a lot of feedback. I got a lot of encouraging words, and it means a lot to me. It truly does mean a lot to me. I love that for a first video. I really loved how it turned out. We'll be, tweaking some things over time and making it better because there's always room to grow. But just want to say again, reiterate, thank you so much for supporting. Just to continue on here, for those that did tune in, I looked at the analytics and I was very happy with what I saw. Not that I expect you to watch the whole video, but a lot of people actually went through the whole 42-minute video, which was something I was a little worried about. I know that, with the nature of our society, short form content is a little more digestible to a lot of people. Attention spans are probably as short as they've ever been. So a 42-minute video in one sitting is really cool to see that people were tuning in. And I think that goes to show they were entertained in some form or they were enjoying the content in some form, which truly, truly makes me happy because, again, I enjoy making the videos, so I hope you enjoy watching them. And that was just something cool to see, and I just wanted to mention that because hats off to you guys. It was really cool. Really appreciate it. Really love you guys. Hopefully the support keeps up. So let's get into the fan questions. First up on the docket here is my boy Nate. Thank you for commenting, Nate. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the support. He said, show was great. Who do you have between Umar and Song next week? More importantly, what do you do with the winner of that fight, considering O'Malley is probably in line for a title shot before either of them? So, first part of the question, who do I have between Song and Umar? I'm going to give you my pick here with basically no reasoning as to why I'm giving that pick, only because I am releasing a UFC Shanghai predictions, betting lines, picks video. So you'll kind of get more of a in-depth strategical breakdown of what I think could happen or what I think is going to happen. I'm going with Song TKO. I think Song is going to finish Umar. I really do. And if I had to put a round on it, which is so hard, so hard, 4th or 5th round. Song is explosive. He's fast. And he is dangerous. One punch is all he needs to change the fight. I know they say that for a lot of striker-grappler matchups, and most of the time the grappler just takes him down, takes away their power, and that's kind of the fight. But I think it's a little bit different with Song. It's hard to engage him. It's hard to get close to him. You're going to get tagged, and all it takes is one for him. So I think TKO, I want to say so much more. I want to keep talking about it, but I'm going to save it for the next video. Song TKO is my prediction, and maybe it will change by when the video comes out. Who knows? I think between Merab and Peter Yan, which, by the way, is such an intriguing matchup because it's the third time they fought, but Merab won the first time, Yan won the second time. Merab dominated the first time, Yan dominated the second time. I think that, as far as I can recall off the top of my head, that might be the only 1-1 series between fighters where it was complete domination in each win. It's such a crazy concept. It shows how crazy MMA is and how much styles do matter and how you fight a fight matters, right? It's really interesting. I'm going to go with Yan. I think Yan is probably the most skilled overall bantamweight alive right now. I really do think that is a true statement. And if Yan wins, which I'm going to be rooting for him, that gives you the biggest bantamweight title fight in the history of the sport. Sean O'Malley versus Peter Yan rematch. So many storylines. Sean owns a win over Peter Yan. It was a little bit controversial, although I do think Sean O'Malley won that fight based off damage and strikes landed. Yan got the takedowns, but Yan didn't do much with the takedowns. He didn't instill damage or apply damage after those takedowns. So to me, and if you really look at how they score UFC fights or how they're supposed to score UFC fights, a takedown without damage really isn't a deciding factor. Unless damage is exactly even. But damage is the number one scoring criteria. Sean O'Malley landed more strikes and did more damage in 2 of those rounds. So you have that rematch on the table. If that happens, Jan wins and O'Malley faces Jan. I think they let Umar wait and just fight the winner of that. And I think that's what I would do too. You look at the top of this division and what do we have here? Batista and Sandhagen. Umar already beat both of those guys. Sandhagen's coming off the loss to Batista, but it kind of sucks, but I think you just let Umar wait and then you give him the winner of O'Malley and Jan if we're in that universe, if we get to that point. Or do you have Umar fight Merab? But then what? If Jan beats O'Malley, either way you dice it up. If Jan beats O'Malley and Merab beats Umar, then does Merab get another title shot or another shot at Jan? Even though that'd be the 4th time they fought? Does Merab have to get the belt back from O'Malley despite defending the belt against O'Malley twice? That's it. It's kind of a logjam at the top of bantamweight, which is this question. There's a lot to unravel about it. But a lot can change, while Umar's waiting for all the, you got to wait for the Jan fight in October. Then depending on whoever wins, let's say Jan wins and he has to fight O'Malley, you got to wait another 6 months, 5 months, depending on how fast Jan wants to turn it around. A new contender, a new rising contender that's active can hop up in the rankings and shake it up a little bit. But for now, it's a logjam at the top. Really is. But again, if Merab wins, I think you do Umar Merab. Unfortunately, as an O'Malley fan, I would love to see O'Malley get another shot at the title, and I think he really deserves it. I think you do Umar Merab just because Merab beat O'Malley twice and finished him once in title fights. If Jan wins, UFC, congratulations, you now have the biggest bantamweight title fight of all time. The press conferences, the media, the hype behind that fight will be insane. One can only hope and pray that that's the outcome. Once again, thank you for the question, Nate. Moving on, we got another banger question here. And let me just pull it up so I can get the exact verbiage. So, this comes from Jack Weimer197. Thoughts on the UFC skewing more heavily towards entertaining, quote-unquote, entertaining fighters and cutting more, quote-unquote, boring fighters with more impressive records that don't get as many finishes? This is such an in-depth question that I absolutely love and I actually think about a lot. I really do. I personally like it. I like that idea of you have to be entertaining to stay in this league, in this organization. But it can get sketchy. It can get really sketchy. One example of that is Colby Covington back in the day. Now, I don't know if this was part of Colby's narrative or this was just kind of part of the storytelling, hindsight is 2020 thing. But they were going to cut Colby Covington despite him being on a formidable winning streak because he was boring. Then he cut that promo in Brazil saying Brazil is a dump. You guys are all filthy animals. You know, the rest is history. But is this the reason I say it gets sketchy, is this going to force everyone to be like Colby Covington, everyone to be like Josh Hokett? Because that's an MMA I don't really want to see. Now, those guys are wild cards. Those guys are interesting to have around every once in a while. Right? Like, I hated Colby when he came out, but that was the point of Colby. He wanted you to hate him. Because then you tune in to try and see him lose. He doesn't care if you're tuning in to see him win or lose. He's caring that you tune in to see him. So it was genius. And looking back, I kind of respect it in a way. Still not a huge Colby Covington fan, but I understand it. I understand the business aspect of that. And if that is really true that they were going to cut Colby Covington, well, then it makes sense. But I don't want to see a world where it gets to that, where everybody has to do that and it becomes oversaturated. Josh Hokett, Josh Hokett's a character. He's interesting to have around. I watched his Contender Series fight, and I was like, oh, this guy's entertaining. He's entertaining on the mic. People kind of jumped on that. Social media played a big part. Now I think he's taking it a little too far over the top. But he's getting eyes on him, and he's getting more eyes on the sport from casuals, which is always a good thing. But it's interesting. Yeah, I do like it, though. I think UFC is a business. I will say that to the day I die, right? It's just a fact. It is a business. Entertainment equals tickets and views, which equals money for them. So I think it's a smart move on their play, but it's a fine line that you got to walk. You want entertainment. You want people throwing down. But are you just going to cut every wrestler because they only wrestle? I guess it does force people to develop other parts of their game. But to me, wrestling is the worst thing. And I say that with an asterisk by it because I love MMA grappling. But again, I want grappling that leads to damage. I want grappling that leads to submission attempts. You're not going to finish every fight. That's okay. But are you trying to go for a finish? Are you actively using ground and pound? Are you actively going for submissions? And not just throwing up a half-assed triangle or a half-assed Darce choke every once in a while. Are you legitimately going in there to remove consciousness, to damage your opponent so much that they have to stop the fight? Because I think that should be the goal. That should be the goal of the UFC. It's the most entertaining. It makes the most sense when it comes to the current scoring system that they have implemented. And, these people that are playing it way too safe, I think there should be a penalty for that. But it does suck in a way. It does suck in a way because, you go in there to win. And if you're winning, how can you cut someone that's 6-0, even though they wrestled their way to every single decision? It's such a good question. I can see both sides. I can go back and forth. I just personally have a problem with some of the modern grapplers that just stall. They hold a position. They don't throw much ground and pound other than foot stomps or little tiny, tiny hooks. And the reason I think that is because a lot of people say you should be good enough to get out of that position. It's so much, once you're in those positions, it's so much easier for the person that has the leverage and has the positioning to keep you there. If they don't have to throw strikes, if they don't have to go for submissions, it's easy for them to keep you there, and it's much harder to get out. Throwing ground and pound leaves holes for them to potentially exploit to get out. Now, you can be smart about it and throw ground and pound and still keep positioning and still do damage. I had a talk with one of my friends, and we talked about Islam. He has good striking. He can be entertaining, but he's going in there for legacy, and he wants to win, and he'll do it by any means necessary, which you got to respect. But at a certain point, I just want damage, and I want people actively going for finishes. Because actively going for finishes does leave a little bit of holes, and it makes it more entertaining. It allows you to get back up to your feet easier, which sounds stupid, right? Because you got him in a good position. You want to hold him there. But again, entertainment. You want to do damage. That might be a hot take. People might not like that. It's just kind of the way I feel, and I think it's a lot of a way, people do feel, but you get called a casual for wanting violence. And I get it, it's not boxing. I get it, it's not kickboxing. Go watch that. If I get that argument. But it's MMA. You should mix it up too if you're only wrestling. Right? And not wrestling is fine, but wrestling for control and wrestling to stall is where I have an issue with it. In another aspect I just thought of, the UFC does take pride in being the top organization when it comes to talent. So again, they're balancing trying to be a business, but trying to be the top organization in talent. Are you the top organization when it comes to talent if you're cutting someone that's beating everybody just because they're boring? Now you're cutting talent and you're becoming more of an entertainment. And then does it slowly morph into WWE? You know what I mean? Like, obviously that's a little bit extreme, but it's such a fine line. They want the entertainment because it brings them money. It lines their pockets. It allows them to expand. It allows them to grow the sport. But they also take pride in being the top mixed martial arts organization in the world. Therein lies the question. So, I mean, I hope I kind of answered it. If I didn't, it's such a hard question to answer. I hope you're satisfied with kind of my explanation on things. But yeah, that one just busts my brain. It's a great question. Okay, moving on to the next one. Van Pantoja 2, how does this play out? They also said that before the Tyra fight and going into the first Pantoja Van fight, they thought there was no way Josh Van was doing it. Just pulling that off. I will say I bet on Josh Van in the first fight, and I was kind of hesitant. I know how good Pantoja is, but I thought Josh Van was, again, it's kind of similar to this Song Yadong Umar fight in a way that I thought Josh Van was really fast, explosive. He could avoid the takedown and land the big shots. Obviously, the fight played out how it played out. Now I'm thinking I'm going Van again. And the main reason I'm going Van is because of the mental hurdle it's going to take Pantoja to get over. That mental hurdle of he beat me already. My arm snapped. Is this going to happen again? Is he really that much better than me? Right? Because you could say it's a fluke win, which I personally do not follow that train of thought. But you could say it's a fluke win, or Pantoja could talk himself into it. Say, hey, that was a fluke win. That's a 1 in a million opportunity, or 1 in a million chance of happening. I can still beat this guy. I'm still more skilled than this guy. Well, Josh Van's confidence is now at an all-time high, especially after he defended the title after he beat Pantoja. So Van's confidence is at an all-time high, and I think Van is just good. He's young, and he's getting better every fight. And then Pantoja's got that mental hurdle to get over. That's why I'm leaning Van. Van has some of the best boxing in the UFC, in my opinion, and I think he utilizes that boxing, lands a lot of damage, wins that fight. And yes, that Tyra title defense from Van was very, very, very impressive. He's a fun fighter to watch, and he's young. He's got a good current standing in the UFC, and his future is so bright too. He's going to do a lot of amazing things in this sport. Somebody asked, how do you feel about the rumored MSG card, Madison Square Garden, Hokit, Pereira, and Aspinall Gane? I love that. If that's the case, I will be very happy. I saw on Twitter maybe Ilya Patty. I would be less happy. I think I'd be less happy with that than these two fights. I do want to see Ilya Patty for sure. I just think that Hokit Pereira is just such an intriguing fight, and God, I think Pereira wins by knockout just because, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. He looked really slow, though. He looked really, really slow against Gane. Jeez. And then Aspinall, Gane, I think Gane wins. I'm not a big Aspinall believer. I don't think Aspinall's been tested yet. Some of the way he handled the eye poke thing just rubs me the wrong way. I don't know the full story. I don't care enough to look into Tom Aspinall. I don't know why I do not like Tom Aspinall. If he really comes back and beats a lot of high-level opponents and earns my respect. I mean, I have respect for him. He's a cage fighter. I have respect for all of them. He's just not my personal cup of tea. And I think Gane just looked great against Pereira. Now, the big question is, did Gane look really amazing against Pereira, or is Pereira just not built for heavyweight and he looked way too slow? I think it's a little bit of both. That would be an awesome MSG card, though. We'd definitely do a breakdown video on that when the time comes. But I think, as of right now, I would be going Gane and I'd be going Hokit. Yeah, I think Hokit. But if Hokit tries to put on a show and strike with Pereira, I don't know if that ends well. But again, are we seeing light heavyweight, middleweight Alex Pereira? Are we seeing that heavyweight Alex Pereira carrying all that weight and that big dumper in the back? Is he carrying that around? Is he slow in his strike? Like, he looked like he was in mud against Gane. So if we get that one, I don't know. It's an interesting fight, and that's what makes it fun. Last question we are going to answer for today, I believe. We might have a couple more, but it is Tommy McMillen, because that's who I made the video on last time. Is Tommy McMillen fairly rated, underrated, or overrated amongst the MMA community currently? I would say underrated. I would lean underrated. There are a lot of people, but I think, both ends of the spectrum are present, at least on my social media feeds. I see a lot of people saying Tommy's ready for the championship right now. I see those people less than I see people underrating Tommy, but I do see those people that think Tommy McMillen is just a walkthrough of the division and could win a title currently. I do think Tommy McMillen eventually could win a title depending on how the division shakes out, but I think he's underrated. A lot of people are doubting his skill set and saying he is a pushover as soon as he faces somebody good. That's the argument for that. But Tommy McMillen just fought Alberto Montez, who before that fight, people were saying Montez is going to dog McMillen. A lot of high-level former UFC fighters were supporting Alberto Montez, not in a bad way to Tommy. They weren't saying anything bad about Tommy, but they were just rating Montez very highly. Look what McMillen did with that. So, and McMillen beat David Magoyan on Contender Series. I think David Magoyan's going to be in the UFC. I already talked about this last video. I could go on for hours and hours and hours, but I think he's underrated, and I think he'll show people soon enough. And Marwan Rahiki is step one of that puzzle, and then I do think he'll get a top 15 or just outside the top 15 matchup after that. Let me just scroll through here, see if we got any more questions that I missed. Someone said, I reckon Rahiki via clean KO. I could definitely see that happening. Tommy McMillen likes to go into the chaos. Play with fire, you get burnt. Rahiki has a ton of power. I could definitely see a clean KO happening early. Should O'Malley wait for the winner of Yan? We already talked about that. What about a Umar Sean number one contender fight? It makes the most sense when we're talking about who deserves it, and that they both deserve it in their own way. So let them duke it out. But obviously, that's not good for business if O'Malley loses, and then Yan wins, and they miss out on that rematch opportunity. But Carter Sampson, who would you take, O'Malley or McGregor? Okay, so, well, obviously, right now, they're in way different weight classes. But, if timing's matched up, there would have been a world where that could have happened. Obviously, I think Sean O'Malley is destined at some point in his career to go up to featherweight. And then, obviously, Conor won the featherweight title. But he was absolutely killing himself to get down to featherweight, I think. But, again, he fought in 145. O'Malley's going to fight in 145 in the future. Be willing to bet money on it. So their paths could have crossed. God, that's a fun fight. We might have to do that on Fantasy Matchup Friday. To me, Sean O'Malley is one of the greatest strikers to ever grace the octagon overall. His speed, his power, all the different attacks he has. He has so many different setups, feints. His movement is insane, switches stances, throws left straights from a southpaw stance, throws right straights from an orthodox stance, spinning back kicks. God, fake spin. Oh, that's my favorite Sean O'Malley. He hasn't really pulled it out too much in the last couple fights. The fake spin where he turns his head and his shoulders, acting like he's going to spin. People always cover up to the body, and then he comes with a 1-2 down the pipe. That is pure magic. I dream about it sometimes. It's good stuff. But then again, featherweight Conor McGregor. That run that he had, featherweight and lightweight, his prime. That was insane. I'd give the edge to, if we're going prime for prime, I think I give the edge to Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor was just unbeatable. He was confident. That's insane. But I will say that Conor McGregor, he loves a good counter left. He loves a good counter strike. Sean O'Malley is so smart at using range and length to pick people apart from the outside without getting hit. That's one of the reasons I think Sean O'Malley is one of the greatest strikers of all time. I'm not going to say he's the greatest striker of all time, but I think one of the greatest strikers of all time, and maybe that's a video we do in the future. But he is the best I've ever seen at hitting and not getting hit. Probably since Anderson Silva in his prime. You know, there's a lot of good strikers out of there that really sit in the pocket and they touch people up, but they get touched up too. That's not necessarily what Sean O'Malley does. That's not his fight style. But he is so good at strike, like even combos, long combos, but not getting hit at all because he's so fast. He sets him up so well. Before you even know what hit him, Sean O'Malley's out of the pocket already. He's in the pocket. He's feigning. He's stepping up into the pocket, out. He's gauging distance. He's throwing teeps up the middle. He's throwing all these feints, the spinning feint that I talked about. It's amazing. It's so hard to defend that. I mean, I can't even imagine. And he gets in the pocket. He hits you. He touches you up, and then he's back out. And he's precise. Just like Prime McGregor, he's very, very, very precise with his strikes. I don't even know if Sean O'Malley has the most insane power, but he hits you right in the button and he makes you fall. And you saw that with Sterling. That was the picture perfect right hand. I mean, as far as title moments go with knockouts and underdogs, O'Malley and McGregor, those two moments, which were very similar, were two of the coolest moments I've ever seen in a title fight for underdogs. But I think that's all we're going to cover today. Yeah, that'll be it. UFC Shanghai video coming soon. As usual, I love all the support that you guys give me. If you want to drop a comment, anything, you can do more questions that I can answer in a future video. If you just want to ask me something that I can, just answer quickly in the comment section, that'd be cool too. Or if you just want to say, hey, good video, or hey, bad video, you're an idiot, go ahead, drop it in the comment. No press is bad press. Thank you guys. Be good to yourselves.